Hello, welcome to the Roy Rogers News Channel. Thank you so much for watching. Alright, today, for our next interview of the PokeMMO interview series, I have a Pikachu that I found in Vermilion someplace. So, check, say hello, DamianTe.
G'day, how are we?
Oh man. I'm doing alright, how about you?
I'm well, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and interview DamianTe for the PokeMMO interview series. Alright. And I should note that if Petrosky's listening and if he'd like to feature DamianTe for his program, he's more than welcome to. And DamianTe wanted to have me mention that. Right, Damon?
I just said I'm happy to talk to anyone. I like talking to people from the community. So, if anyone wants to talk to me, you're always welcome to reach out.
Certainly. And without further ado, I have a set amount of questions for DamianTe, so let's go ahead and dive into the questions, shall we? Alright, so Damon, how long have you been playing PokeMMO?
See, I hate this question because it's hard for me to answer. Usually if someone asks me this question, I'll ask them, do you mean when did I create my account, or how many hours have I played for? Because they're different questions. I technically created my account in 2015, so I'm actually a very old player, but I didn't really get into the game back then. I think back then only Kanto was available, or maybe also Hoenn. I remember starting a character in Kanto and not getting very far, because at the time the game used the Generation 3 battle mechanics, in which every attack's damage type, like whether it was physical or special, was based on what type the move was. So for example, Fire Punch was a special move, even though it's like a punching attack. And I remember really hating that. As soon as the game series transitioned from Gen 3 to Gen 4 and that was split out, I was like a lot happier because it made more sense in my head. So I remember encountering that and going, you know what, this game's kind of like okay, but maybe it's not for me. And then I came back a number of years later, I think it was probably 2018, because I learned that there was not just Unova being implemented, but also there was an Android version. And I started playing on Android, so I think it was 2018, that's certainly when I created this character. From there I kind of played more and more, and eventually I started speaking more in the chat, and that doesn't really work on mobile very well. I find it a bit awkward to type on a landscape phone screen keyboard. I moved into the PC and desktop experience, and then I use the chat more and more, and that's where I am.
Awesome. And Damon, if I may ask, besides being a staff member, what activity do you enjoy doing in game? Do you like the competitive scene, shiny hunting? What sort of activity do you enjoy doing?
Well, on paper I'm a shiny hunter, but I don't really have too many shinies to speak of that are really, really good. I actually spend most of my time grinding for cash, and I usually use that cash for dittos to hunt for my favorite Pokemon in shiny, which is Porygon.
Oh, wow.
It still eludes me, but one day we will get there.
I see. Well, I mean, Driftbloom is a really nice shiny in my opinion.
It is actually. I'm quite proud of this one too. Drifbloom's an interesting one because when it's wild, it knows both Self-Destruct and Destiny Bond, which makes it quite difficult to catch. See, if your target in a horde only knows like Self-Destruct or Explosion, then you can use a Mon with the Damp ability to suppress the explosive attacks. But because you have Destiny Bond as well, there's always the chance that it uses Destiny Bond when you try and feint it, and then your Dampmon gets taken down too, and now you've got a horde with a shiny in it that knows a self-destructing attack, and you don't have a Pokemon with Damp, which is a very scary situation. So I found that the best way to solve that problem was to create a Smeargle that has Imprison and Self-Destruct and Destiny Bond to prevent either of those moves from being used. Sketching a self-destructing move is an interesting process. I'll leave that as an exercise to the viewer.
I see. If you don't mind, I know that some people are probably going to start writing a bunch of comments about this. How do you sketch a self-destruct on Smeargle?
Oh, well, that's what I said. It's an exercise to the viewer. If anyone can figure out the process, they're welcome to recommend a better one than the one I used. But I'll give you a hint. Uh, it involves using another move. So you have to sketch a move that is neither that is not self-destruct in order to get to self-destruct.
I see. All right. There we go. DamianTe with the mysteries. All right. Man, you are like a novel, man. All right. So, when did you aspire to contribute a lot for the community? Becoming staff, helping people in the global chat, and just being a general good influence here on PokeMMO.
Well, first, thank you very much for saying that. I'm very flattered. Um, like I said, I started playing the game on Android, and eventually I wanted to use the chat a bit more. Um, Although, I haven't been playing PokeMMO specifically for that long in the grand scheme of things, um, I've actually got a very extensive history playing the main series games. As a kid, I played just like unbelievable amounts of the cartridge titles. I maxed out the clock on every game from Emerald to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and they max out at 1,000 hours. So, like, I've got a really, really, really extensive knowledge of the core series. Um, and particularly mechanics and things. I'm not so good at story questions, but I know a lot about EVs and IVs and the calculations and all that sort of thing. And those questions tend to confuse people who are sort of newer to the series or maybe haven't seen those mechanics before. Uh, and so uh, I started answering questions because they're asked very frequently in the global chat. And yeah, I just answered more and more questions. I have this thing where I find it difficult to leave questions unanswered. So whenever someone asks a question, I'll tend to answer it if I know the answer. Particularly for objective questions like where is this thing, or how do I do X. Um, those sorts of questions I don't like leaving unanswered. Yeah, so I answered heaps and heaps and heaps of questions in global chat, and yeah, I applied to be a staff member because I'm like, I'm doing this so much, I need to get rid of this cooldown so I can answer all the other questions that I'm missing. And yeah, I became a staff member. I do a lot of support with the support ticketing system. So yeah, that's just another venue on which I can answer people's questions.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And I actually made a video about how to download PokeMMO on the iPhone, and there's a fair amount of people asking me about that. And sometimes I link people to the support request. Would you be one of those mods answering the support requests if people were to be troubleshooting about iPhone downloads? Would that be something you would answer?
If I can answer the question, I will. But I know that there's a lot of platform-specific stuff you have to do to set up side-loaded applications in iOS, and I'm not familiar with the ins and outs, so I probably wouldn't be answering questions like that specifically. So I'm glad that there's a tutorial that you've made, because I don't think I would have the answers on hand. I'd have to defer to some more knowledgeable people than myself.
I see. All right, awesome. And quick shout out to Kudasai because Kudasai did teach me quite a bit about the iPhone mechanics on PokeMMO, so I'd like to thank him for that. All right. So, DamianTe, if I may ask, how many shinies have you acquired since you've started shiny hunting?
In PokeMMO specifically,
Yes.
I think I'm at probably 8 or 9, which is probably the lowest that you'll find anyone who calls themselves a shiny hunter.
Wow. All right. You're speaking to a guy who has about like 6 or 7 shinies, so man,
But do you consider yourself a shiny hunter?
I do not.
Exactly.
Oh, all right. Man, you're pretty witty, man. All right. So, if I may ask, what was your most memorable shiny?
My most memorable shiny is probably the Drifblim that I've got. It was a pretty hard setup to do, and I kind of thought about it myself a lot. And in particular, actually, I found a Drifblim. The reason that I was shiny hunting Drifblim to begin with is because I wanted a shiny Drifloon, but that's quite hard to shiny hunt. So I I decided I would shiny hunt a Drifblim instead and then breed it. And the first Drifblim that I found, its IV total was too high. I was like, oh, this is such a good shiny. Like, its stats are too good. I can't breed this. I've got to find another one. So then I went back to the drawing board and hunted again, and I went through about 75,000 encounters. I hit 2 Lunatones, which spawn in the same area as Drifblim. And then only then did I hit another Drifblim. So I got my second one after, I think it was about 75,000 encounters, and its IV total was even better than the first one. So I was like, okay, well, I guess it's the first one that's being bred after all.
Oh, wow. All right. So would you like to link at least one of the Driftblooms for our audience?
Yeah, I can link you this one. Let me whisper it to you right now.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. All right. Modest, which is a pretty nice nature. 31. Wow. What a nice base stat total. The special attack, though, it's 12. But besides that, everything...
It's compensated for by the fact that it's got a modest nature.
That's true. That's true. All right. Whoa. Self-destruct, Destiny Bond. I am surprised you caught this thing. Man.
Like I said, it requires a little bit of planning.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. All right. Woo. Man. I like shinies that have a gold sheen to them, and Drifbloom is certainly one of those shinies. So.
I definitely like gold shinies as well.
Oh, yeah. Good taste, man. Good taste. If I may ask, Damon, have you ever thought of making a guide on forms or something of the sort?
I have. I made one last year during the Halloween event because players were asking how to play it. And I had some experience from the previous year's Halloween event, so I knew mechanically how it worked. I honestly think that most of the knowledge that I have is from other people who've written guides. I stand on the shoulders of giants. If I have seen further, it is because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And so I'm not sure that there's anything that I know uniquely about that I would be able to write a guide on that's better than the ones that are already out there.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. And if I may ask, how did you find PokeMMO?
That's a good question. Like I said, I started playing like 7 years ago, so I don't remember exactly. I think I probably just Googled Pokemon MMO, and it was one of the first things that came up.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, do you have any advice to give anyone that wants to contribute to the community or apply for staff to contribute to the community? What's your advice for our audience here that's watching this program?
If you would like to become a member of staff, I'd certainly encourage you to do so. The staff team is incredible. Everyone's super friendly and nice. If you're looking for advice in terms of what you need to do to join the staff team, I would say just be a positive person, positive influence on the community, help people out where you can. There's no need to kind of push yourself or try really, really hard to appear like you're helping people. Just let it be natural and do what comes naturally to you, and just allow yourself to help people in a way that's comfortable to you. So if you like answering questions, then answer questions. Share your knowledge. If you like helping people with trade evolutions, if you like hosting events, then you're more than welcome to contribute community-hosted events. We certainly love to see community-hosted events, particularly with interesting ideas that we may not always be able to support in an official capacity. There's plenty of ways that you can contribute, and if you can think of something else that would improve the community that's not any of the things that you normally see staff members doing, then please do that too, or instead, and don't feel like because you have a unique personality, you can't join because you don't do the same things that everyone else does. It takes many hands to make light work, or it takes many people to build a village, or something of that sort. I'm sure there's an idiom that's escaped me right now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have the same idiom here in America. And you kind of parlayed to another question. I was about to sign off, but you kind of parlayed into another question. There are a fair amount of staff that I've met that know another language. Would it help if someone were to go to Rosetta Stone or some sort of language program to learn another language so that way they can help the community even further?
I think usually when it's the case, it's that a staff member speaks another language as their native language, and then they learn to speak English. It's a requirement to be staff that you can speak English because all the staff speak English, and that's the language that we mostly communicate in. But if you do speak another language, particularly one that has a presence in the game, that's certainly very helpful.
Certainly. Yeah. And Damon, man, thank you so much for being a part of the Roy Rogers News Channel.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly. Yes, and DamianTe is certainly a wonderful guy to speak with in game. I've spoken to him several times off camera. You're a really nice player through and through, and helping out people in the global chat is something that I enjoy seeing. And also, as a note, and I would like to reiterate this, if Petrosky's watching, or if Petrosky's bookers are watching, and if they are interested in having DamianTe on Petrosky's YouTube program, then feel free to reach out to DamianTe. DamianTe is more than happy to speak to Petrosky's team and enjoying speaking to DamianTe right now. So thank you so much, DamianTe, for being a part of the Roy Rogers News Channel.
Thanks again for having me.
Certainly, certainly. And with that, let's go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Roy Rogers News Channel. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel, like the content that you see here. And this is the Roy Rogers News Channel, signing off. Fast, accurate, unbiased, Roy Rogers News.